Hello and welcome to a Rebels Radio latest interview. I'm joined by both joint Slough Town managers following the 1-1 draw today with Histon. How are you, gents?
We've been better, if I'm honest.
Yeah, 2 long phases here, both a bit fed up.
Yep. Very disappointing performance today. We were poor today. There's not much glossing over that. We were poor, and we threw away 3 points.
Okay, well, we'll come on to that in a moment. Let's start with the squad and the team selection. What was that?
Yeah, we obviously we were missing Guy today, as we said the other day. So Tom came in at centre half, which is his natural position. Obviously, we brought in Luke Knight for his first start. Probably a slightly out of position on the right side of midfield, although he has played there before. The thinking behind that is we rate him very highly. Obviously, we made him one of our main 2 targets in the summer, and the quicker we get him fit and playing, the better. So he trained in the week, and we just wanted to get him in the side. So other than that, it was reasonably straightforward. We had 2 fit forwards in.
Johnny Dyer not fit?
No, Johnny. It was touch and go with Johnny, and it was touch and go with Eddie. We ended up going with Eddie on the bench. If we're honest, neither of them were really fit enough to play. We had Eddie there for an emergency. His hamstrings cleared up very, very well, but there's always that worry with the hamstring. It's only been a week, and he passed a fitness test, but nothing really replicates a game. And if we'd have thrown him on and he'd have done his hamstring and been out another month, then that wouldn't have been any good for anyone. So yeah, I think if we'd have we had a forward on a bench in case we were behind and needed to chase a goal. We did end up chasing a goal, but it was a different circumstance. I think we had him there, but it just didn't feel right to use him.
And I think at the same time, Eddie wasn't convinced himself that he was okay to play. And the thing is with the hamstring is we don't want to rush him back just for the sake of it, just to get him on the pitch for 15 minutes to try and nick a goal and possibly lose him for 3 or 4 weeks. So from our point of view, we've got nothing midweek. As much as we'd love to have got him on, it was the right decision not to, and he agreed with that.
Okay, so how do you think you started? It seemed quite bright. There was chances in the first 10 seconds.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, we should have gone 1-0 up after 10 seconds. To be honest, I felt we should have scored, and then I thought for 5 minutes I thought we were poor, and I think that sort of pretty much was what we were like for sort of vast majority of the game. But we had a 10-minute spell. 10-15 minute spell where we were firmly on top and we were creating chances for fun. I think we counted 6 or 7 good chances, and we only took 1 of them. And we talked about it last week, and we'll talk about it this week. It's if you don't take your chances, you get punished in football. And at the moment, we're not taking our chances, and that's not good enough from our point of view. And we were bitterly disappointed to only being 1-0 up at half time. Because it allows a team to hang on to the game, and we obviously got punished. So, yeah, frustrating. But again, we're in no different position. We've still got these lads who've scored all our goals missing, and we need to get them back on the pitch.
So you went 1-0 up, and then the sending off of Saunders after about half an hour changed the game a bit.
Yeah, I mean at that point, they should be dead and buried. You're 1 up, you're creating chances. They go down to 10. But you do see it a lot in football. The 10 start working harder, and I think they outworked us. I thought their 10 players outworked our 11. We created so few chances from kind of half an hour onwards. We created more in the first half an hour, miles more than we did in the rest of the game. And it's a well-known tactic when you're up against 10 men. You pass the ball, you get it down, you stretch them, and you work them, and you create chances that way. And you only got to go back 10 days, and we came off saying it was the best football we've played in 4 years. And then 10 days later, you're playing 10 men, you're 1 up. Why can't we go and play the same football? Who knows? That's the frustrating thing as managers. A very similar group of players to what was out on the pitch 10 days ago when we played fantastic football, and we didn't do it. We didn't do it today, and that's why sometimes it's so tough as managers, because we haven't asked them to do anything differently. We've asked them to pass the ball, and they haven't done it. And yes, we could have got the game done in the first 20-25 minutes, and we didn't. But then once you get to that stage against 10 men, you have to play better. And I don't think we won't be making excuses for what we did from half an hour. Those players need to do better, and we told them that at half time.
Can you put your finger on any particular reason? You say you got outworked, and that's really unusual for you guys pride yourself on a hard-working team.
Funnily enough, that's what we said at half time and full time. One of the things that we demand of players is work rate, and I thought that not enough of them were where they needed to be for us. One of my biggest things is, and I've seen it so many times before in football, when you play against 10 men, the 10 men lift themselves by 15-20%, and the 11 men think that they've won the game, especially when you're 1-0 up against a side who, haven't started well. They, in their minds, they think they've won the game. And as much as we can try and tell them and, say that you can't miss your chances and you've got to be ruthless and all that kind of stuff, they often go down 10-15%, and I believe that we did that, and it then nullifies the fact that you've got 11 men versus 10 men, and as John says, if you don't pass the ball, then you're just entering into a scrap, and it doesn't matter whether you've got 11 v 10 men at all, because all you're doing is scrapping. So
they scrapped better than we did,
and they did.
They fully deserved their point. The warning signs were there throughout the second half, and they fully deserved their point.
We come off, and we picked out 3 players today who could come off with a bit of credit, and I thought Jamie McClurk, who he's an unsung hero for us. He works his socks off. His passing's been really good this season, and he wanted it, and he worked hard, but he didn't have much backup. And then Dobbo, again, Dobbo's been probably one of our standout performers this year. I think he creates chances, and he's direct and everything that we want in a winger, to be honest. And then I felt Reece York as well. Reece is very steady and wins a lot of his headers and tackles. So those 3 were the only ones that we could really pick out and say, look, they come off with credit. And we said that in the changing room and got no problems telling everyone else. It was not good enough from the others, and we need to make sure that they get back to their standards.
And what do you think about the second half substitutions? You obviously had a bench to play. We'd had 3 substitutes to make. What was the thinking behind your substitutions?
Yeah, we had options off the bench. Obviously, Jamal's only trained with us once. Very hard to judge the impact that he could make. He was the third one to come on. I mean, we tried to. We started the second half. We had a bit of a go at them at half time. We weren't happy with them, and we thought we'd get a reaction. Start the second half, and we didn't. And as managers, you sit there watching the game, and you could see the equaliser coming. Mm-hmm. And I think the worst thing as a manager is if you sit there and you don't make a change, and then you wait, and they get the goal. And we wanted to do something different.
Wanted to be positive.
Yeah, wanted to try and be positive. We tried to get more of a 3 up front than a 2. Clearly we were lacking options. And Daryl at the moment is not fully fit, and didn't feel he had an impact on the game. So we withdrew him and tried to play 2 players up with Adam, as Adam was a main central striker. So we went with Alex and Dobbo up there. But I didn't feel they got close enough to Adam, and we left him isolated, which, we were playing against 10 men. We should have been able to put a bit more pressure on them and get those 2 higher up the pitch. And then Adam took several knocks, and he was then running out of legs. And it's difficult, the fact we've got 5 centre forwards in the club. And again, we're looking around and we're ending up putting wide players up top, and it's not ideal. And we were limited in what we could do.
We limited on the bench, because obviously Eddie wasn't quite fit, and unfortunately Ben sort of tweaked his calf in the warm up. And
when George Short got booked and then looked in danger of getting sent off.
Absolutely, but that's it's one of those things that we sort of looked at, and it was like, well, there wasn't much we could do, and as much as George had just got lucky. He'd fouled the lad and got away with it. Probably about 5 minutes beforehand, and so you're looking and you're hoping that he doesn't go and do something silly, and he's obviously gone himself sent off. And on another day we'd have just made a substitution, brought Ben Edwards on and sat him in midfield, but unfortunately, because of a calf strain, we weren't able to do that. So it's very, very frustrating at the moment. But we have to remain positive, because the real thing, the real story is we've got players who can score goals, sitting on the bench at the moment, not fit. And once we get those back, goals change games in football. You know, if we had been 4-0 up, 5-0 up, you know, to concede that penalty wouldn't have made any difference.
On the penalty, was it a fair just award?
It was very difficult from where we were. We thought we defended it really poorly as a back four. I mean, Ryan Parsons, who gave the penalty, said he got his foot to the ball, and I'm sure if he said that, he did. From where we were, it looked like he'd got the wrong side of the guy and then maybe went through him to get the ball. But very hard. Until we see it on the replay, we can't really say for sure. But what we can say is it was really sloppy defending in general, you know, in terms of the way we dealt with the situation. It was a miskicked clearance from Sean under no pressure, which went straight up in the air, and then we failed to deal with that ball. And then, yeah, as I say, it looked. We certainly weren't complaining from where we were, but we'd have to see it on the replay to be totally sure.
I mean, I think the fact that they could have had a penalty sort of 10-15 minutes beforehand probably led to the referee giving a penalty, if I'm honest, because we actually thought that there was a penalty. Summers had pushed one of their forwards, and both of us thought it was a penalty. At the same time, we thought that we should have had a penalty when Adam was held in the second half. But they weren't given, and sometimes when a referee doesn't give a decision, the next time there's even an inkling of a tackle in a box, then more often than not, they give it. And I have to say, and we talked about it in the change room. I thought it was a penalty from what I saw. You know, we might look at the video and think differently, but from where I was, I would have been calling for it as a penalty as a manager.
Yeah, but even if it wasn't a penalty, even if we got it wrong, then we're not about to talk about officials. We got what we deserve. We certainly didn't deserve to win the game. We could have done if we'd have been ruthless first 25 minutes, but over the course of the game, our performance was not good enough, and we got to look at ourselves before we start looking at penalty decisions. And that, the performance just wasn't good enough, and a lot of players need to improve. Yeah,
and after Histon pulled it back to level, and then obviously they went down to 9 men. Did you still feel threatened? Did you think they might actually come away and sneak a win?
Well, it's always, can always happen. All it takes, and this is what we talk about. All it can take is a hopeful ball into the box, and it dropped down, and somebody put it in the back of the net, and you go away with nothing. And at the end of the day, football is about taking your chances. And I might be harping on about it, but if we take our chances today, we're 3 or 4-0 up at half time, and the game's completely dead, and we then get to maybe bring 1 or 2 on a little bit earlier to have a look at, and it makes it a comfortable afternoon. But by not taking your chances and it only being 1-0, it makes the afternoon harder and harder as the game goes on, and it gives them belief that they can go and nick a goal, and that's exactly what happened.
So now you got 2 tough away trips to Weymouth and Poole. You've obviously still only defeated 1 game so far this season, but perhaps could have done with a few of those draws being wins. Yeah. What do you do this week with the boys?
Well, we'll train twice. We'll work very hard Tuesday. We'll do a physical session Tuesday. I'm just saying, we'll probably look to try and we will get the video of the game. There's a few bits we'd like to run through with the players on Tuesday night and get them to see where we're coming from on certain things, and then we'll draw a line under it, and we'll train Thursday and prepare for Saturday. I mean, those 2 games are as tough as you'll get in this league. Weymouth and Poole, very established at this level, very good home records, both right up near the top of the league. When we looked at the fixtures, we saw this week as being a real tough one, and that's why we're really keen to get 3 points on the board today. And we said it's a missed opportunity to do that, but we need to raise our game. We know we can play a lot better. We'll have to see what we've got available to come next weekend, but let's hope we've got a few more options. I think we will have a few more options come next weekend, and we'll go there really positive, because it can change. It can change really quickly. One real positive performance. Weymouth need to lose at home at some point. We have to go and be positive, believe we can do it, and it can turn good as quickly as it's turned, the wrong way today.
Well, brilliant. Thank you very much for your time, gents. Anything further to add from either of you?
No. I mean, no. It's just it's one of those. It ruins your weekend as a manager, more so than it ever did as a player. And that's a draw. We've drawn the game, so we haven't been beaten, but we know it's two drop points today. not at the races, and that's the disappointing thing. So, we have to go and regroup again, and we have to look at things, and we're very proactive, myself and John, and if we feel that there's things that aren't going right, or for whatever reason, then we'll look at things, and we're not scared to make decisions and things like that anyway. So we'll be nice and positive.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Well, thank you for your openness and talking to me and to the fans right now, and good luck in this challenging week ahead, and we'll talk to you later in the week.
Cheers.
Okay, cheers, John.